On this episode, we take a cue from my visiting mom and discuss some of the wonderful things about Thailand that are sometimes forgotten.
So if you're a long-term expat, jaded with life in the land of smiles, you'll love this episode of the Bangkok Podcast.
Sawadee krap, and welcome to the Bangkok Podcast. My name is Greg Jorgensen, a Canadian who came to Thailand in 2001 to enjoy the novel experience, for Canadian, of going and coming home from work in December while the sun is still up.
I'm with you, brother. I'm with you. And I'm Ed Knuth, an American who came to Thailand on a one-year teaching contract 22 years ago. Fell in love with thinking about all the driveways I don't have to shovel snow from and all the cars I don't have to scrape ice off of. So I never left.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Can you believe we used to do that? Can you believe that? I mean, how many hours of our lives have been spent shoveling snow? I mean, for some of our listeners, depending on where you live, this is going to make total sense. But for some of you, you might not understand what we're talking about. But man, for years, getting up to go to school, I had to be outside early, right, and just shoveling and scraping ice off the car just to make sure the car would start
in the most miserable conditions possible.
Absolutely.
I just, as you were saying that, I just typed into Google the temperature in Calgary, my hometown. It is minus 21 degrees Celsius. That is minus 5 Fahrenheit.
Oh, that's insane. But honestly, I mean, my a lot of times with our intros, we're just being goofy, but this intro is absolutely correct. One of there's different reasons why I've never moved back, but when I think about dealing with snow, I don't want to go back. And my experience last year when it was snowing, I just couldn't believe it. I'm just like walking through this. I'm like, I can't believe people live here.
Yeah, why are humans putting themselves? I have PTSD from that.
I'm with you. I'm with you. All right. We want to give a big thanks to all of our patrons who support the show. Patrons get our ad-free regular show a day early, behind-the-scenes photos of our interviews, a heads up to send questions to upcoming guests, and access to our Discord server to chat with me, Greg, and other listeners around the world. But best of all, patrons also get an unscripted, uncensored bonus episode every week where we riff on current events and Bangkok topics. On this week's bonus show, we chatted about Greg's recent trip to Gau Samet and his accompanying sunburn, Greg's shout out to the Museum of Contemporary Art for being such an enjoyable and well-run establishment, my experience as a movie extra playing a bar patron, which I seem to have been typecast as, and the new demerit system being put in place for Thai drivers and why it will likely soon be forgotten. And don't forget, we're now experimenting with a video version of our bonus show as well. More perks than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah.
To learn how to become a patron, click the support button at the top of our website.
Right. And as always, if you have a comment, a show idea, or just want to say hi, head to bangkokpodcast.com and click the little microphone button on the bottom right to leave us a voicemail that we'll play on the show. And as the last show before our December 10th meetup, a reminder about, our December 10th meetup. We hope to see you there. More details on our Facebook page. Should be a fun night.
Absolutely. You should be there. It will be fun. I guarantee it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. All right, well, in this episode, we take a cue from my dear old Ma, who has been visiting me for the past month. Now, I've been hanging out in Bangkok with my mom, taking her around to a few places of interest here and there. And while this is not her first trip to Thailand, it is the first time she's been here in nearly 5 years. And every time my mom is here, she comments on all the little things she loves about Thailand. And that got me thinking. After X years as an expat, 21 for me, 22 for Ed, it's easy to become a bit jaded and to lose sight of the wonder that most of us had when we first got here. So I thought this would make an interesting discussion to help remind us of some of the lovely little things about Thailand that we might have forgotten to appreciate. Ed, what do you think about this?
Dude, when you gave me this idea for a topic, I really liked it. I think it's insightful. On the one hand, I think it's normal as you live somewhere longer to maybe get a bit jaded. So it's kind of a normal thing. But on the other hand, it's kind of there's something deeper. I don't want to go too deep, but this is my role on the podcast. To take things to another level, and in my readings, I'm no expert, but in Zen Buddhism, they talk a lot about beginner's mind and the value of kind of trying to stay in the mind of a beginner. In the mind of a beginner, you see all these opportunities and things are fresh. And, Zen Buddhism is a lot about your attitude. Kind of attitude is everything in life. And so I like this. It's like there's something, there's things that newbies and beginners, there's things that they see that you and I saw too. Like we had those same first impressions.
Right.
But then over the years, I don't know, you forget or something.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about this too is that it's not applicable only to Thailand at all. It's applicable to any place that you live for a long time. You don't have to be an expat, even if it's just like, we've talked on the show about you in Cleveland or me in Calgary. Sure. I don't know anything cool about Calgary. I lived there for too long and I became bored with it and I didn't care.
Sure.
But it does add an extra layer of interest to it that we are in a different culture. And as expats, you are amazed when you first get here at so many things. But yeah, after a long time, you get a little bit bored of the things that used to amaze you. And
that's right.
It's a little bit sad.
Yeah. I mean, it's even also just, like I said, it's also just forgetting. I wish, it's funny, a mutual friend of ours who was one of the first people I met when I came to Thailand, a guy we both know, he actually said to me when I first met him, he said, "Dude, keep a journal.
Right.
Like you want to record your first impressions of Bangkok." And I remember thinking, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that. And then I never did it.
Well, it's funny. When I first came to Thailand, I had a very primitive website back then. It was hosted on one of those like GeoCities sites or something. And I did write a lot of observations about Thailand. Now I have them somewhere printed off somewhere in a box in my house somewhere. And I have gone back and read them before, and some of my observations were hilariously off base and wrong. Just plain
Oh, really?
wrong.
Oh, funny. That's
like,
great.
This is what makes Thai cooking special, and I couldn't have been more wrong. But there is some nuggets in there, and it's an interesting thing. So,
man, I wish I would have done that. I mean, actually, okay, here's an idea for another show. Advice to we must have already done an advice to newbies. But I mean, that's a good piece of advice for people who know. Let's say someone is coming here and they know they're going to be here, not just as a tourist, but if you know you're going to be here maybe for at least 3 months, I think keeping a journal of your first impressions, that's good advice for a newbie.
I think it's a very good advice. Yeah, definitely do it. Use something like me. If at the very least you can look back on in years and laugh at your own naivety.
Right. Exactly. That's right. Right.
I should say naivete.
Yes.
A little polish on it there. So anyway, what we're going to do on this show is I've recorded a quick little interview with my dear old mom, who's here for just a few more days, and I just sort of asked her to rephrase and recap her experiences and her views on this phenomenon, I guess we could call it, because while we've been walking around Thailand, she's been saying like, "Oh my God, look at that! Oh wow, look at that! Oh, isn't that lovely?"
I love it. This is a great idea.
Yeah, and a lot of times I'm with her and I'm like, yeah, that is really neat. I guess it is. I've never even bothered to think about it, or I'm usually walking so fast to get to the next train or meeting or taxi stand that I don't even notice it. So let's cut to a quick interview with my mom and get her thoughts on this phenomenon of when you come to Thailand and the things that really, really impressed her. All right, well, we have a very special guest on this episode. This is someone I haven't seen in person in probably 5 years. And coming to Thailand all the way from a country called Panama is my mom. Mom, welcome to the Bangkok podcast.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Oh, you're going to call me sweetheart. I'm warning my listeners they're going to get a lot of superlatives and platitudes coming up. I'm darling and sweetheart. Well, the reason we're doing this show is because it's something I've been thinking about, and it's you live in a place for a long time. It can be your home country as well, but especially as an expat. You live in a place and you start to lose some of the wonder and the great, cool, amazing stuff that caught your attention when you first showed up. And it's easy to turn into sort of like this jaded, bitter expat. But I found it over the past couple of weeks with you, and I find it with other people. It's really nice to sort of see Thailand again through new eyes and watch what impresses you, because more often than not, when I stop to think about it, I go, yeah, that is really cool. I haven't thought about that in a long time because I'm too busy rushing to go here or working here or seeing a friend there. So what is your overall impression of Thailand? You've been to Thailand 7 times. This is your 7th trip. So what was your overall impression coming back this time? What made you go, oh, wow, this is just great?
I think the amazing amount of color that you've got here, no matter what store you go into or even on the street, the buildings, particularly the old temples and things like that, are so full of vibrancy and color. And the displays in the stores are so colorful. It's like being hit over the head with a magic wand. And incredible, not only the color, but the way they display everything, the artistry involved in display, and how they place everything, how they advertise things. I think it's amazing. I miss that in Panama.
Right.
They don't have the color. They do on parades and things like that, but as a general day-to-day basis, no, they don't. And they don't have the skill to display the way it is displayed here. And I just get blown away by that.
Apologies to any Panamanians who might be listening. It's not a blanket statement against every person there, but it's just not something you see there, something you notice. And I wonder how long have you been in Panama? 5 years now?
4, nearly 4. Yeah.
And I'm wondering if you did see this stuff when you first got there and have now become the jaded expat, or is it just something you never really noticed?
No, I never really noticed it. Panama City is different in that it's a huge, big metropolitan city.
Yeah.
The rest of Panama is just small towns, 1 and 2 stories, 3 stories maybe.
Right. Yeah.
And no big malls, no big extravaganza on anything.
Yeah, I remember we were walking around in a mall, and you were pointing out the like you said, the window displays and the displays for like mannequins standing there with clothes or signs or purses or something. And you said you were pointing out how creative it was. And yeah, I stopped and I was like, it is creative. Actually, that's really well done. But I never stopped to look at it.
Yeah, because you live here and you are where you are. You know, and I don't necessarily see the beauty in Bukete anymore. It's such a little town,
right?
You know, with 2 streets kind of thing. But I do try to remind myself as I sit in my house and look outside that it's green and it's lush and it's beautiful.
Right.
And it's lush and it's beautiful because it rains a lot.
Well, it's literally a silver lining to the cloud.
That's right. But Panama has beauty everywhere. I mean, even on the street, you'll see beautiful flowers growing and orchids, and everybody's got a pot with something in it.
Right. Okay, that's cool. Well, I just find it refreshing to go around with someone who doesn't spend all their time here, because you notice things that my eyes pass right over top of it. And
I love the way you actually display Christmas. I mean, I know it's kind of a token because you're not Christmas aficionados, but it's nice that the country even thinks to do that.
Right. And I also noticed that you are just very bubbly and friendly by nature, but you know, with me, when I go and ask for something or interact with a service person or buy something, it's just transactional. But you have a lot of fun with it, and you laugh and you interact with the person, and they're at least trying to help you. Even if you can't speak Thai and they can't speak English, they're at least trying to help you, and you just seem to make it fun and enjoy it.
Oh, thank you.
Whereas I'm just like, oh, hurry up and give me my change. I got to get out of here.
Yeah, well, that's because you're living here and
right.
you've got things to do.
Right.
And I'm retired and I'm not.
More time to smell the flowers. So it goes. Well, anyway, thanks, Mom. It's been nice hanging out, and it's been always great to see Thailand through new eyes or newer eyes.
Yeah. And, it's a lovely country. I love it. Maybe, you know, if I win the lottery, I can make it back.
Right. It's a bit too hot for you, but
in the summertime, it's too hot for me.
Yeah.
The wintertime is hot enough.
All right. Well, if you win the lottery, 6 months in Canada, 6 months in Thailand.
Yeah, I could do that.
All right. Thanks, Mom.
Okay, you're welcome, sweetheart.
So that was my mom. Everyone meet my mom. Mom, meet everyone. Thanks a lot for that, Mom. It's really cool to have you on the show. I think she was on the show also about 5 or 6 years ago as well for a brief moment. But we didn't go into detail there, but we've distilled what she's been most impressed by down to 4 different points, and we're going to go into detail on those and discuss those a little bit.
Right. So you've been talking to her for the last month. So you just kind of summarized the stuff that she's said over the last month.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I asked her, I'm like, what are the 4 top things that really impressed you that you notice everywhere we've gone over the past month?
Gotcha.
Right. So the first thing she said was that there is color everywhere. And that's in the clothes, in the paintings, in the art on the walls and in restaurants. The taxis are colorful. The decor in shops, the decorations on food stalls and street restaurants and things like that.
Okay, I find, let me just interrupt for a second. I find this take fascinating for a couple of reasons.
Okay.
My first reaction is, I don't see it, or, so I'm like, oh, really? There's color everywhere? I don't see it. So then I start thinking, okay, I become jaded. Okay. But then I try to remember, did I think Thailand was colorful when I first got here? I don't have a memory of that. So now I'm curious I don't know, how do you tell I don't know, how do you judge the relative colorfulness of different places? So I since I saw this list, since, you typed up ahead of time, I'm going to look for this now. Because I just would not have said that. I would not have thought that.
I don't remember this particularly sticking out to me when I first got here, but I do remember being in a vegetable market and looking at a dragon fruit and a rambutan and going, what the hell are those things?
Oh, that is funny that you mentioned that, because I took, it's funny, I was at a temple event once, and it was in the first couple of months here, and I was with an American woman who had a Thai boyfriend, and I saw I think it was a rambutan. So it wasn't a dragon fruit is the big one. Rambutan is the small, like, hairy one, right?
Yeah, it looks like a Muppet.
That's right. Yeah, no, I think it was the first time I saw a rambutan, and I put him on the table and I took a picture of it, and he was just laughing his ass off. He thought it was the funniest thing that a foreigner would be like, oh my. But if you haven't seen one of those things before, it's pretty wild looking.
It is, yeah. It's red, and then it's got little spiky hairs on it that are green,
that's right.
I think.
I guess the fruit, you're right. The fruit is super colorful.
Right, and this is something also I noticed when I was back in Canada last April. The taxis in Bangkok, dude, they're pink and blue and yellow.
Yeah,
and
true.
Pink and blue and yellow.
Yeah, you're right. No, that is true. That is true.
I called a taxi in Calgary when I was back home, and it was white and blue. And then maybe there's another fleet of taxis from another company, and they're green and white.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, you know what? I've been in Bangkok so long that I just think of Bangkok as gray, but it's really not. I mean, I see your point. It's really not.
Yeah, it's not.
When I'm at the beach, things do seem very colorful, but it's just nature. Like blue sky or the blue sea, or not palm trees, or like coconut trees. But I guess you're right. Bangkok is now. I'm gonna keep my eye out for this. But I like this idea that Bangkok is colorful. So this is it. This is the fresh eye things. Like, people with fresh eyes can notice this, and whereas we can't, because we're
right.
old.
And
we're just old and half dying.
Okay, well, it's a bit grim, but not technically true, but okay. But so that was a good one too. And specifically, the last thought on this, specifically, my mom says she sees it a lot in the fashions, especially in a lot of the sort of middle age and older Thai women who wear a lot of the silk, the colorful fashion silk.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it.
The second thing that she really likes is that there is so much individualism and artistry. And she said that not many places that we've been to have mass-produced stuff. Now, of course, some of the department stores have racks of clothes and stuff like that, but a lot of the places don't. Most have a huge variety of well-made products with individual style and creative flair. So she noticed this in a lot of places that we went to.
Man, this take I find fascinating, because I think almost the opposite is true, but I don't know. Okay, to me, it's an interesting issue. What I have found is when I walk around markets, I understand that there is a lot of different stuff, in general.
Right.
But as you walk around or gain more experience, you kind of see that it does get repetitive. I mean, what do you think? I mean, so I can't tell if I'm jaded or if I just have experience and I can see that, I always joke with my buddies about those wooden frogs that, you like the croaking, like you rub the stick on the frog's back, and those things are just everywhere. Like, you could be up in Chiang Rai, you could be down south, and anytime you go to any type of market, they always have the wooden frog that you rub the stick on. So it is actually mass produced.
Right. Okay. Well, I guess, yeah, you're right. And I guess this one depends on where you are. Now, of course, we've talked on the show before about how you go to a market and there's like 30 different stores right next to each other selling the exact same stuff. So
that's what I'm talking about. Yeah. So there was a lot of repetition.
Right. But like, for instance, we were walking around Icon Siam a while ago, my mom and I. And, say what you will about Icon Siam, another mall or whatever. But on one of the floors there, they had like this area where you could buy Thai crafts. And
no, there's a lot of variety there,
Right. And I stopped to walk around with her. Normally I wouldn't have, because I'd be, quickly making my way to the movie theater or quickly making my way to the food court or whatever it is.
Right.
But I stopped to look around and I was flabbergasted, man. There is some beautiful stuff there and it's not that expensive and it's not mass produced. And the one thing that caught my eye, and I was so close to buying it because it was so funny, but it was a coffee mug, just a regular coffee mug. But the handle that you usually like put 2 fingers through and drink your coffee with was at least 8 inches long. It stuck out from the side of the cup at least 8 inches. And it was...
Okay. Why?
I don't know, but it looked like a Monty Python prop. And it was so funny.
Oh.
But, and there wasn't like hundreds of them. There was like 10 of them on this little display from this little factory that made them.
Well, I mean, now that I think about it, my problem, of course, is I end up in tourist type areas, which do tend to be repetitious. Like there's just certain tchotchkes, like certain things that tourists tend to buy. But yeah, like back in the day when I used to go to Chatuchak, there's not a lot of repetition at Chatuchak. It's like stall after stall after stall, and it's like you could be in this area where it's kind of fashion, and I don't know if I think there are individual designs, but now that I think about it, there is a lot of variety when you go to a proper market, not one that's a tourist market.
Right.
I feel like if you go to a tourist market anywhere in the country, it's the same.
Yeah, and I think a lot of this one was inspired by the clothes that my mom looks at, because she likes looking at clothes.
Gotcha.
We were in Riverside Plaza today too, the one down by the Anantara and the Nivani Hotel. And yeah, there's a lot of like really nice little small boutique shops that have a lot of variety in the clothes that they have. So
cool, very cool. Well, I mean, the bottom line is I'm not trying to argue with her impressions. To me, the theme of this show is what you and I can learn from her. That's the way I think about it. Whereas I think she's got the fresh eyes, so it just means that I've got to look harder to try to see what she sees, I think.
Yeah, I agree, but also I agree with you as well. It does depend where you are, and if you're in like some tourist,
it's the same shit. It is the same shit over and over again.
Same shit everywhere. Yes, it does depend. So the third thing that she noticed was that she and this is going to surprise no one. It's a cliche, but it's true. But she said that it's so nice to be surrounded by so many friendly people.
There you go.
Friendly ties. And my mom is really bubbly and outgoing, and I am not sometimes, where I just sort of,
No.
I want to get from A to B, and I want to do it by saying the least amount of words possible, but she's joking and laughing with the shopkeepers and stuff like that. And one thing she said was that no one here will ever say, "You're in Thailand, why don't you speak Thai?"
Oh, right. Okay.
We're in Canada or America, you're in America, you're in Canada, speak English.
Yeah. Or of course you could be in another country, like,
Sure.
I think the Japanese, they don't really want to speak English with you, and they want you to speak Japanese. And
right.
But no, I mean, when I was explaining the reasons why I've stayed here, I had to throw in Thais being friendly, because it's just on a day-to-day basis. I think I described it as frictionless, which is a little bit weird, but there's just there's just no friction. It's just, and it's very pleasant. Thais are pleasant people, and it matters. So in this one, I'm totally on board with your mom. I see what she sees.
Yeah, exactly. And I think too, when you're dealing with an issue that maybe there's a roadblock or a confusion or something like that, even if that's really confusing and you cite it as like, oh, I hate this part of living in Thailand, it's blah, 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 why doesn't this work? You know, we've mentioned it before. Generally speaking, Thais will go way out of their way to try and accommodate you. They will try to help.
For sure.
And they'll try to speak English.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's really nice. That's really refreshing.
Agreed.
You know, so while I'm there complaining like, my mom is like, oh, they're so friendly and nice. They're looking at her like, she's your mom? Jesus. And the fourth and final one that she's been pointing out as we've been ripping around Bangkok in my car and taxis and grabs and what have you is the architecture. She's been taking so many photos of the buildings.
Interesting.
Yeah. She loves the modern buildings that are like, you know, the Mahanakhon Tower and some of the office towers down at Siam Square and along Saton. She loves the old buildings. Now, granted, a lot of them don't stay around for too long. They get knocked over to put up a new glass and steel skyscraper. But the old buildings are really nice. She's like, the temples add so much spice and color and exoticism to Bangkok.
True that for sure.
The architecture is, I think, a lot more varied than we give it credit for.
Well, it's okay. So this, I think I'm about a 50% agree on this. I think that I think for sure that Bangkok architecture is eclectic. Like there's a shocking variety of buildings. Like, you know, you ran through a bunch of options, and I think that the variety can in some ways also be a turnoff because you're just like, this shit does not fit together. You know, this building next to that building. In that sense, it's ugly or it doesn't work. You know, Bangkok, as we've said many times, is an unplanned city. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't fit together. So I think the variety can in some cases be a turnoff. But I understand her point though, that, you know, if you're looking at individual buildings, you could be like, oh, that's kind of cool. And certainly I know what she's saying about the temples. You know, when I let's say I'm in a taxi and I go around a curve and I catch, you know, a Thai temple out of the corner of my eye. It's cool. It's just, it's a different thing. It's like something from a different age because it's just an older style.
Right.
And I really like it a lot. And certainly some of the newer buildings, like you mentioned, have cool designs. So I would just say this, it doesn't always fit together, or I just say it, I'm going to say this: it rarely fits together, but I think I do see what she's seeing. Like there is individually like a lot of cool buildings.
Yeah, you're right, and I mean I think, but that's part of the allure of Bangkok is that it is such a chaotic mix of stuff that shouldn't
hodgepodge,
work, but somehow does. Yeah,
it's a total hodgepodge. But I love that she picked up on that.
Right. Yeah. It's an interesting point. I'd like to hear what our listeners say about that because you're right. It is easy to pick out individual buildings, and of course, Bangkok's zoning laws are so weird. So you can have a skyscraper next to a slum. And
that's exactly right.
That's really incongruous. It's very strange.
Yeah.
So that's it for my mom's points there, and I think those are four sort of big, broad takeaways from her observations here, and I think they're pretty good ones. But like I said, man, it's important, I think, to refresh ourselves every once in a while. You know, when you go to the department store to try some new cologne, and they have coffee beans there. Have you ever had those?
No, I have not.
No? Some high-end department stores have a little jar of coffee beans, and you're supposed to sniff them, and that basically clears your palate.
Oh, okay. Now I know what you're talking about. Sure, yeah.
So I think it's important to sort of have a coffee bean moment sometimes as a long-term expat, just to re-clear your jadedness, your bitterness. And I think a good way of doing that is to listen to your friends when they come and visit, and
I love it.
Sort of connect with their experiences.
For sure, beginner's mind. I'm all for that. I think this is a great opportunity just to remind us what, like, certain things about Bangkok that we just have missed or either forgotten. So I'm down with this. I like it.
Yeah, cool. Much thanks to my mom for coming on the show, and it's
Thanks,
been great
Mom.
having her.
Thanks, Greg's mom.
It's been great having her in town, and everyone reach out to your moms, give them a message, make a call, tell them you love them.
Always.
And, get them over here for a dose of coffee beans, if that makes sense. Thanks, Mom. All right, let's get into some love, loathe, or live with, where one of us picks a particular aspect of living in Bangkok, which we then discuss to decide if it's something we love about living here, loathe about living here, or have come to accept as something that we have to learn to live with no matter how we feel about it. Now, last week I asked Ed what he thought about salted eggs. So this week, Ed, it's your turn to ask me.
All right, dude. This is a topic we have touched on tangentially before, but I want to just hit it directly this time. All right. So picture this. You just got back from Gulf Cement, so you're a traveler. So you show up at a Thai hotel, could be anywhere, could be up north, could be at the beach. You go in, obviously there's a bed in your hotel room. You're about to sit down on the bed for the first time. What do you expect? Do you expect to just like sink in and just feel comfortable? What do you expect? Thai mattresses at Thai hotels.
Ooh, I think I see where you're going with this one. This is a very interesting one because back in the day, in my earlier years when I was younger and spending 400 baht a night on places, I would expect an uncomfortable, hard mattress.
Very hard mattress.
Yeah. But now I'm old and I'm crusty and I have a little bit of more money to spend. I spring for the more expensive hotels, and more often than not, I am pleasantly surprised by the soft, comfy mattresses they have. But
I'm calling bullshit.
What?
I believe that Thai mattresses are just too hard across the board.
Really?
I think your point is well taken. I think the more you pay, you're more likely to get a soft mattress. So I think you're right about that. Like if you're at a 4 or 5 star hotel, or maybe something like an international brand. So if you're at the Marriott or the Hilton, it's going to be a proper mattress. But I'm telling you, this is one of my pet peeves. Thai mattresses are too hard. Like it's ridiculous. And I want to be clear here. I'm not one of those super soft mattress guys. I'm not. I've only bought one proper mattress in my life, like an expensive mattress.
Right.
Like, it was like $1,000 mattress, like one time in my life have I done that. And when I was testing out I'm in the store testing out the things, I preferred the one that was right in the middle. So I'm a medium softness guy. I'm not a super soft guy. Okay. I'm a medium softness guy. And I'm telling you, 90% of Thai hotels, it's like sleeping on like a hard, like it's like sleeping on a board. Thai mattresses are too hard.
I'm not down with a hard mattress, man. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I know. It's so common though. It's super common.
But I will say that I understand where it comes from. This from a culture where you see a lot of old Thai people sometimes sitting in front of the TV and they're sitting on a board or a wooden carved chair. Also, don't forget that the Thais, for some reason, have figured out a way to put corners on pillows.
Yeah, I know. So, I'm with you on that too.
I think it's just a cultural split. There's something that they don't mind about it, but for us, it bugs me, man. I don't get it.
I'm just going to say this. In general, there are exceptions. I want to be clear, there are exceptions. But in general, I'm a loathe when it comes to Thai mattresses in hotels. I'm a loathe.
I would have to say, unless you're staying in a name brand hotel, I think your observation is right. You're going to get a mattress that's too hard, surprisingly hard, and uncomfortably hard. Yeah, hard loathe for me as well.
Listeners, we want to hear what you have to say, but I'm just warning you. I'm just putting the word out there to all of our listeners that this is what you should expect. So if you're a soft mattress person, you're in big trouble because I'm a medium guy and I'm struggling. Just as
when you book a hotel on a
mattress
Agoda
guy.
or something and they get the room options, like I want a large bed, I want a non-smoking room.
They
mattress.
should tell you. No, I'm telling you, I have notes in my phone from different places about
Really?
the mattresses because I don't want to go back to place. I don't want to go back to place because the mattress was too hard.
That's funny.
For real, I want to add that to Agoda. Like they should tell you how hard the mattress is.
All right, I still got a few friends there. We'll send a message. I think a few friends at Agoda still listen to the podcast. So hey, Agoda people, if you're there,
please.
add that. A little tick box. Soft mattress, hard mattress. Boom, done.
Please. All right.
Load from both of us.
A final thanks to our patrons who support the show. Patrons get a ton of cool perks and the warm fuzzy feeling knowing that they're helping support the show. Find out more by clicking support on our website. And connect with us online. We're Bangkok Podcast on social media, bangkokpodcast.com on the web, or simply bangkokpodcast@gmail.com. We love hearing from our listeners and always reply to our messages.
Yeah, baby. You can also listen to each episode on YouTube. You can send us a voicemail through our website that will feature on the show, or even reach out to me directly for now on Twitter, where I am BKK Greg. So thanks for listening, everyone. Call your moms, and we'll see you back here next week.
For sure. To learn how to become a patron, click the support button at the top of our website.
Jesus. Caesar was a bit spicy.